Welcome to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. If you're serious about getting fit, then this is your show. This is a podcast where fitness enthusiasts share all the ups and downs, the challenges, and the victories on their fitness journey. Now, here's your host, Coach Luis.
All right, welcome everybody again to another edition to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. And today we're talking with Jaclyn Ann and just talking a little bit about her overall life journey, all the things that she's gone through, how she loves to inspire people, talk about things from benefiting from foods, how to have a good relationship with it, and just a little background on her own story as well. So thank you, Jaclyn, for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Luis, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. I know this is going to be a really good story to talk to about because I looked through a lot of your blogs and your stories, and you have a really very interesting and great, inspiring journey. So yeah, can you give us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So currently I am the founder and CEO of Lifestyle Nutrition, which is my private nutrition practice. I've been in practice for about 5 years now. And the premise of my programming is to help people break the yo-yo dieting, hamster wheel of dieting cycle, and find food freedom. So essentially, it's teaching people how to sustain health, but while also not having to restrict any macronutrient group or foods that they love, and learning to find what I call customizable balance. Balance is something that I see promoted all over, social media, and it's such like an umbrella term because it can be interpreted in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. But when I say customizable balance, I mean, balance that is individualized to the person that I'm working with. And the reason that is the foundation of my programming is because I have a history with food restriction as well. I was diagnosed with anorexia when I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who's not familiar, that is a restrictive eating disorder, meaning just not eating and, becoming very underweight. And because of that restrictive life pattern, and I say life because it's restriction in all areas, not just your food intake.
Absolutely.
I really wanted to help people break those restrictive patterns, because when you think dieting, it's always a form of restriction. Like with, the ketogenic diet, it's restricting carbohydrates. With Whole30, it's restricting, certain foods, and you can't bake anything. There's like all these different restrictions, but they're all short term, right? Like Whole30, 21-day fix, they give you solutions for a stagnant period of time, but then they don't tell you what to do afterwards. So for me, I titled my practice Lifestyle Nutrition because that's exactly what health is. It's a lifestyle. And you have to teach people how to, sustain healthy habits throughout their life, so they have, an excellent high quality of life, but also something that, is easy for them to maintain, for years. Right. Sure. And so that's really why I have that premise. And also, I've been through a lot health-wise aside from my anorexia. I was paralyzed at the age of 20. I'm 31 now. I had an adverse reaction to a vaccine and contracted what's called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is an autoimmune condition that attacks the peripheral nervous system, which simply just is the pathway for electrical signaling from the brain to get to the skeletal muscle. It's like there's like a roadblock for the electrical signals, and the message is just not getting to the muscles, which leads to paralysis. So I was fully paralyzed for about a year, head to toe. I couldn't walk. I couldn't speak. I couldn't blink my eyes. I really couldn't communicate at all. But I was fully coherent and aware of everything. It didn't affect my brain function or my internal organs or anything like that. So it was kind of like being a vegetable, but being cognizant of everything going on. So literally everything was restricted for me. So my life has kind of really led me down this path of health and wellness and being very focused on finding that right balance that works for me and that I can sustain as an individual. And, figuring out what works for me, I incorporate into my programming to help people find that customized balance for them as well.
That's so great. And that's so good that you talked about that, about balance, because it's true that word gets thrown around a lot. And I talked about that a few weeks ago, how that's your balance is different from my balance and it's different from someone else's balance. So the fact that you're helping people understand to find what their specific and personal balance is, that's so valuable, because then it's not just a quick, hey, here's what you got to do to lose this weight and you're good, you're done, okay, take care, that's it. That's not sustainable. So the fact that you're really helping the people to understand that it's okay, just find that really what's their balance and for them to be healthy all around, that's real true information, where you're educating the person to understand what's going to really work for them and make them happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is. And you have great food programs, which I love, and I watch a lot of your blogs and everything, and you're very educational by how you go through it, where sometimes you'll talk about how you're feeling a certain way, but you'll explain through it, so that then if someone else is feeling the same way, they can kind of understand and be like, oh, okay, so it's not just me, it's okay to feel this way. Let's just get past it. We're talking about it. I'm focused on how I'm feeling right now, but just don't stay there, move forward and learn from it.
Exactly.
So I know you said about when you were 12 years old, you got diagnosed with anorexia, and then you had that paralyzing time in your life, which, I mean, it really must have felt like you were just trapped, because you can see everything, you can understand everything, but you couldn't do anything. So how did you get past, I guess, first being diagnosed with anorexia at 12, and I know how it led to other negative paths, like depression and anxiety. How is it that you deal with that now?
So that's a really good question. When you're 12 years old, you kind of, especially with an eating disorder, how can I describe it? You're so fixated on achieving a goal that you don't understand that's unachievable. Mm-hmm. Like always just continuously wanting to not eat and lose weight and see the number on the scale go down. And at the core of it, it's really about control. Like at that time in my life, I felt very out of control. I was bullied very much when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I was always actually the overweight kid. And with high cholesterol, I wore dorky glasses, I was bullied a lot. And there was always a large fixation on what I was putting in my mouth from my family. Like my dad has 4 sisters. They were all of them were always like on some sort of crazy crash diet. So like there's always that focus on what I was eating. So it just kind of led me down this path of, that continued restriction. So thank God for my parents and them kind of forcing me to go into therapy. I did both inpatient and outpatient therapy for about, I would say 6 years, up until I was 18. And I've been through every type of therapy you can possibly think of: family, individual, music, art, everything. Yeah. And I really attribute my treatment protocol to my success. Because like I said, at that age, I didn't understand that I needed to adopt coping mechanisms to help me get back to a healthy lifestyle. As I got older and when I hit 18, I actually was able to kind of get back to a healthy weight. I was playing sports. I played basketball since I was 7 years old. So that sport is very near and dear to my heart. And that was also a driving force for me to improve my health, because I wanted to play with my teammates. But I had done so much metabolic damage over those 6 years that my metabolism slowed way down and I gained a ton of weight back. So I went from weighing like around 90 pounds to weighing 200 by the time I was going away to college. So it was a completely different shift in mindset because I went from needing to gain weight to now needing to lose weight because I was in an unhealthy range. So by the second semester of my freshman year, I had decided to make a change and I started eating better. So just making easy, healthy food swaps that everyone really knows to do, like eating grilled chicken instead of fried, getting salads instead of pasta and French fries, you know, not eating ice, not getting dessert at the end of every meal. And through doing that, playing basketball and exercising a little bit more, I was able to lose 70 pounds in 6 months, but I was also 19 at the time. So a little bit easier when you're that young. But I was feeling really good and I had regained my independence and, you know, I felt I was feeling really good about myself. And finally comfortable in my skin, and I wasn't experiencing any type of restriction in any area of my life. I was very happy. And then, you know, 6 months later, I get that vaccine, and then I get paralyzed. So that's like a whole other
absolutely, yeah.
thing. So then independence is completely stripped away. You have zero control. So literally, you know, with anorexia, like you feel like you have no control, but you just have to make the realization that you do. Right. When I was paralyzed, I literally did not have any control over what was happening to my body.
Yeah, you really didn't have any control. Yeah. Exactly.
So through that experience, without realizing it at the time, I started utilizing visualization as a strategy and a coping mechanism. Because for anyone who knows me, I am very stubborn and I don't like being told that I can't do something. And I don't like being told that, I don't like being told what to do. So the first doctor that walked into my hospital room when I was admitted told me I would never walk again. And that was literally day one. And from that moment, I was like, well, at 20 years old, I was like, F you. Yes, I am. But I started my mindset shifted and I was like, I just can't wait to get out of this hospital. There was no thought process that, oh my God, I'm going to die. You know, I'm never going to walk again. Like, will I be in a wheelchair? Will I use a walker? It was never, those thoughts never crossed my mind. It was always, when is this going to be over? Like I knew it was going to end. I just didn't know what the time frame was. So even at such a young age, at 20 years old, like without realizing it, I had that mental fortitude to visualize like what I wanted my end goal to be. And ultimately I achieved it in a year, right? So I was in the hospital. I went through all the treatments and all the gnarly side effects and all of that fun stuff. And went on to graduate on time with my bachelor's degrees, went on to become a personal trainer, then went on to get my master's degree in nutrition and dietetics, which I graduated in 2016, and become a nationally qualified bikini competitor in the bodybuilding circuit. You know, to getting to a point where I pushed my body past where it was before I got sick, and I'm stronger now than I was then. So to your question and my long-winded answer, I apologize.
Not at all.
My coping mechanisms were staying positive, never letting anyone tell me that I couldn't do something, and visualizing my end goal and just keeping that in the back of my mind constantly. And those are 3 coping mechanisms that I've used and have been very successful with ever since.
Those are excellent ones too, because it's if you think about, I was bullied as well in high school. Before high school, I was a very implosive person and I got picked on so much because of being overweight and this and that. So that's kind of why I can understand those struggles that you went through, because they're very real and they can really shape a person or break a person at the same time. And using those things as fuel to do better and move forward is the key. And that's just something that we have to have within us, to have that positive mindset to use those as fuel and to move forward. And your coping mechanisms are fantastic. You know, being positive, basically never backing down, and just visualizing that you're going to do it, which is exactly what you did. you went against all odds. You didn't let that stuff hold you down. What the doctors are telling you, you actually proved them wrong, and now
Thank God.
absolutely, and you're thriving from it. But that shows how powerful our mind really is. If we let ourselves drown in negative thoughts and in negative things, insecurities, we won't go any further. But if we use those things and just say, no, I'm not going to take this, I'm going to change, there is a really big chance, and you're proof of it, that we can actually come out of those things.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, perception is power, for sure. The way you perceive your environment directly affects your reactions to it. And I think what you put out into the environment or the universe is the type of energy that you're going to receive back. So as much as I possibly can, I try to stay positive and, just again, using visualization to visualize like where I want to end up and how I want to continue to make an impact on the people I work with and the people that just, watch my channels, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. I always want to make sure that I'm providing that positive impact and environment for people.
Yeah, for sure. And having that positive a cushion of people like that group, your family helped you so much through your times, through those trying times. So having that positive group is also such a great thing. So the fact, and now that you have these, you have these channels, people can feel like they can connect to you because of that. And having that good backing and knowing that you have a good team behind you also will help so much. So I guess that is your take on what negative thoughts are, and insecurities. And what kind of advice could you give someone that's having issues with body image? Because I know that's also a big thing.
Yeah, it's so tough because when I first started in my practice, I would tell people to, look in the mirror and, say positive affirmations. And that's still something that I recommend people do. But you have to believe it, right? You have to be in that mindset to look at yourself and believe what you're saying. And I would say you have to let go of like this mentality that you can't be happy until you reach a certain number on the scale or a certain body fat percentage or fit into like a certain size of clothing, happiness isn't dictated on a number. You can be your own source of happiness. And I think people don't realize that. And I think that people really need to understand like that they have so much more control over their own emotions and their own like self-worth. So as far as body image goes, like I would say start journaling. Journaling is such a powerful tool, and it's a great outlet. And it's great for people just starting out as well, because a lot of times when you start or even start thinking about going to therapy, like you go through that cycle of just starting to think about treatment, it can become very overwhelming because you're talking to someone that you don't really know and you don't know what type of advice you're going to give them. It costs you money. So there's like all these factors that you have to consider that are overwhelming, on top of the fact that you're sharing your vulnerabilities, which is that much more overwhelming. So journaling is a really positive outlet that only costs you a notebook. So maybe $2 or $3.
Yep.
And time, right? Those are the only two cost factors. So you sit down, you give yourself like 10 or 20 minutes and journal once a day, whether you feel better doing it in the morning or in the evening, however it works for your schedule. I personally journal in the morning because I like to start off my day with a clear head and with positive energy, and it carries me through the entire day. But it's just such a great outlet and getting you to that point where you're able to shift the mindset without thinking about it. Because if you just, you see a lot of these like gurus and like fitness, like, or influencers on social media, and they're like, you have to shift your mindset, just think positive. And they don't tell you the in between, like how do I get there? Like I need to know like what I need to do. And journaling is like my number one recommendation.
Yeah. That's a really good one. And that really, I guess you could say that bridges the gap, between getting from this point A to point B. So what's all the in between? You can think about it, but writing it down is probably the best way to actually see your thoughts. And then you kind of like read back through it too. And then you can be like, man, okay, I was at this mindset, a few months ago. I'm actually moving forward. So I think that was also a great visualization to see your actual progress, instead of, like you said, check in with someone, once a month or whatever, and see like, okay, I'm feeling better. Sure. But if you actually write it down every single day, and then you look back, you can probably be surprised that, wow, I can't believe I used to think this way, and I'm a totally different person. I think that would be
absolutely. It's like, you're recording your journey literally on paper.
Yep. That's really good too. So whoever's listening, $3 and 20 minutes of your time, I think, is worth insanity. But yeah, it really is. And that's another thing I love about a lot of your blogs are so much about awareness, and you just keep it very, very real, to where you talk about your own. So when people hear someone, which is one of the reasons why I started this, is because I want people to hear others' journeys, because a lot of times, like you said, people will go online and they'll be like, okay, this person seems like they know what they're doing. They have whatever X amount of followers and their posts are great. Everything's always rainbows and butterflies. But what's really happening, or what really happened in their past to get them to this point? So that's, I think, is what's so invaluable, that more people need to hear, so that if they're at that point in their time, they can say, well, look at this incredibly successful person who's a CEO of their own company and are doing all these amazing things. But if they don't talk about their journey, they're not going to feel like they ever went through struggles. Because let's say if you never posted your past issues on your stories, no one would ever think that you were someone that was dealing with anorexia one day. No one would ever think that you were someone that was overweight at one point. But the fact that you have it there makes it that much more stronger, to where people can actually relate to you and then really trust you, because they're going to say, no, you know what? Jaclyn actually really understands what I'm going through. So when she tells me I get it, she really means that she gets it. And I think that will grow. That makes more of a deeper connection and trust.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I think I've gotten very into IGTV because it's a short snippet of things that I go through on a daily basis. And I have no shame in my game. Like, I'm an open book. If I'd probably answer any question anyone asked me, as long as it was appropriate. But
sure.
My last IGTV, and I didn't expect this to happen, but I was speaking about my trip. I recently got back from San Diego, and I was, experimenting with a lot of things that cause anxiety for me regarding eating different types of foods and things of that nature. And I started crying toward the end of the video. And I thought about not posting it, because I always like to breed an air of positivity on all my channels. Sure. But I was like, you know what, Jack, this is positive. You are showing people that your journey is not linear. It's not always like sunshine and rainbows, to your point. Absolutely. It's raw, and it's hard, and it's full of every type of emotion you can possibly experience. And I continue to post videos like that because, people can relate to that type of emotion. So your listeners can look forward to seeing more videos like that, where I'm like super happy, or I'm crying, or whatever. Because it's in the sharing that we help uplift each other.
Absolutely. Sharing is caring.
Exactly.
And like that quote you posted earlier today that you actually you referenced it a little bit ago, is you have it within you to be your own source of happiness. So that is, just repeating that type of a quote really gives a person that's feeling down or depressed or with some anxiety, it gives them hope, and then again, seeing the actual journeys and all the emotions that are involved in it, then that will let them understand that it's okay. You just really work towards it. You could be your own source of happiness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It all goes back to that sense of control. right? Like diet culture and society really teaches us not to trust ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And your body has mechanisms built into it to protect itself and to address a lot of issues, whether it's physical or emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you think when you're a little kid, and we'll just talk about like hunger cues for a second. As a child, you ate when you're hungry, you stopped when you're full, and you said no to things that you didn't want, and you said yes to things that you wanted, right? Like it was very
Mm-hmm.
black and white and clear cut.
Yeah.
But then as we age, we kind of lose that sense of self and that sense of assurance that we produce on our own. And we look to, what is, largely publicized to everyone, like diet culture specifically, and these societal norms that are pushed on us, right? And we just lose ourselves a little bit. So through my own experience going through that and losing myself, and I'm still finding myself again, right? Like I hope I always remain a work in progress, because that means I always continue to learn. But through my own journey and sharing my own experiences, I hope to help people find themselves again and regain their confidence.
Absolutely. So do you have, speaking of the people you've worked with, I'm sure you have a few, but do you have like a favorite transformation or inspirational moment?
Oh, I won't say I have a favorite, because I love all my clients to death.
Good.
Let me think. Actually, this one was very recent. I had an individual, a guy actually,
Mm-hmm.
in his early 30s, and very, very fixated on hitting a very specific weight number and body fat percentage and achieving this specific like look, right? Like getting that super tight toned physique.
Mm-hmm.
And we had worked together for almost a year. And actually last week was our last follow-up. And he started off, like I just said, having these like numerical fixations, to today having this new sense of self and literally saying to me, Jack, I don't care about the way I look so much, because I feel so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel confident in my skin, and I feel like I'm back in control, and I feel no anxiety when I go out, with my friends, and I'm not comparing myself to other people. And, I just feel like I can experience life again.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is my ultimate goal with every single client, is for them to regain that sense of control and regain that sense of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's ultimately what it is. You become a prisoner within yourself, and you think that you're a prisoner to something else, but you're really not. You are always you're always having that control and that free will to choose to let go. It's just scary to let go because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that client really has been an inspiration to me throughout the last year, especially going through my own journey as well. I always take away learnings from my clients. No matter how long I'm in practice, I always learn something new from every person I work with.
Mm-hmm.
But he for sure definitely inspired me.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. And
yeah,
it's so true that I guess that's even more of a point of showing how every single person's journey is so different, that even while, like you said, we have the certifications or whatever to help people, we're still learning every single time that we work through things with someone. It's always just a different approach to everything. That never changes. So I would assume that's your why. That is why you do this, because of the outcomes.
Oh, for sure. I think that literally my entire life has primed me to have this mission to help people regain their freedom and their sense of self. And I am not one to waste an experience. I'm not one to waste blessings. And my eating disorder and my paralysis were blessings. Didn't feel like it at the time, but looking back, they definitely are, because it's given me this delivery system to, inspire people and support them on their journeys, whether they work with me directly or just simply watch me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've been inspired by something greater than myself. And I feel that constant drive and passion increasing with every single day that passes to be that guiding light for people if they're open to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So are there any good books that you're reading that have helped you along the way that you could maybe recommend to someone that may need it?
Yeah. So I'm a nerd at heart. So I tend to read more books surrounding like biochemistry and metabolism, things of that nature. But I actually read a book recently called, you're going to laugh, and I apologize for the profanity, The Fuck It Diet.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't agree with all the premises in the book, but the ultimate message is what I've been conveying, that it's that release of, typical diet culture and what society deems beautiful. Regarding like certain things about encouraging people to eat like as much of whatever they want as possible, that I'm a little iffy on, just with being a nutritionist. But I like the foundation of it, which is letting go of restriction, taking back your control, and finding happiness and finding your truth. So the Fuck It Diet it just popped in my head because, number one, of the name, number two, I literally just read it. But also I read a book last month called The Blue Zones. And the blue zones are areas within the world, across the world, which have the highest ratio of centenarians, which are people who live over the age of 100. And initially I thought it was just going to be like a nutrition book, like what they were specifically eating, but it encompassed so much more and showed patterns that correlated with each area of centenarians. So for example, there are areas in Japan and Italy and actually in California, but they all had the same foundations in their lifestyles. And I won't say any more than that because I want people to find out what they are.
Yeah.
But
there's your homework, guys.
Yeah, right. It was much, much, much more than what they were putting in their mouths. And I'll leave it at that. But that one I would recommend for sure. And it's a short read. Both books are pretty short reads, and they're available on Amazon.
Awesome. Perfect. And it's funny you said that because I was just listening to the Doctor's Pharmacy podcast before yesterday. And one of the things they were talking about was longevity. And one of the reasons why we all know that in Japan, that specific, and again, it's probably in this book, so I won't say too much more either, but one of the biggest reasons why they lived the longest, besides, like you said, food and nutrition, is having a positive circle of people. So again, I'm not going to say any more either, because I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be in that book too.
Yeah.
But there you go. It's again, that's that whole overall wellness balance, having everything balanced out. It's not just, like you said, sure, eat good, make sure you eat well and everything like that, but there's so much more involved in it that it's kind of like missing the big picture. So yeah, thank you for sharing those books too. So what are your top 3 favorite things to do, like on your active rest days? I mean, I know you love hiking, but what other things do you do?
It's funny you say that because today is an active rest day, and I'm actually in my hiking gear right now. But honestly, I'm an avid bike rider. Even on my active days, I always take my bike out, weather permitting. And it's not with the mindset of, I'm going to burn calories and I'm going to push my body to the max. It's more, I'm breaking away from work and I just need that space to not think for a little while. So I'll put my Amazon music on, and I'm a country lover, so I'll put on like my top country station, and I'll ride my bike for like half an hour. or however long like it takes me to go through like my normal route. I really don't count the time or anything. But yeah, riding my bike, going hiking. I love to read, like love to read. So I'll go to a park if it's nice, or if it's not, I'll go to like a cafe I haven't been to. I've been really trying to open myself up to different spaces and meeting new people. So I'll, kind of put myself in a different environment. I mean, walking my dog is something I do just on a daily basis. Not only for my health, but for hers as well. She's 8 years old, but she acts like she's 1, which is amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah. And then yoga. So I'll usually take a hot yoga class at least once a week, just to kind of recenter myself. Again, it's not about like the calorie burn or anything like that. It's just more about moving my body intentionally and in a way that I enjoy. Not that I don't enjoy weight training on my active days, but yoga is just such a different modality, and it helps me stretch out, decrease my muscle soreness, but it just helps me improve that mind-body connection that much more.
Yeah, and it's also a lot about just being in the present moment, where it's just you're riding the bike because you just want to enjoy the day. You want to disconnect, like you said. And then the same thing when you go do your yoga, you're really just in the moment. You're going through your stretches, you're going through your poses. It's just about being present, and the only goal is to just enjoy it. And that's
exactly. Yeah, it's just sheer pleasure. That's all it is.
Yep.
There's no thinking involved whatsoever.
There isn't. It's just, you're just kind of like just present in the moment. You're not worrying about, oh, let me take a picture of this and post it on my Instagram or whatever. You're actually unplugging. And that's very important. Another top thing to
one thing I'll say to that also, and this can, really go for anyone. It's okay to be selfish because it allows you to be selfless. And what I mean by that, it's okay to take time for yourself and not be constantly giving to others. And we're taught the opposite. We're just taught that we need to drain our energy and just give to ourselves. But we have a threshold, right? Like the tank isn't always full. You need time to refill the tank, for lack of a better term. So doing those things that I enjoy and disconnecting, I used to feel very guilty for it because, I would think like, oh, well, what if a client needs me? Or like, what if my dad calls me or whatever else? But I was doing that so much that I was becoming irritable. My work was, suffering, or the quality of my work was suffering. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need to disconnect. So at least once a day, I take like an hour, whether it's a full hour or I break it up into half an hour, like ride my bike, like I said earlier. I disconnect from everyone, and I like silence my phone notifications and everything. And sometimes I'll even leave my phone at home just so I can get away from it.
The horror.
Because no matter what type of, position you're in or what type of person you are, you need to replenish your energy, right? And you can't do that when you're constantly giving away energy.
You can't.
Right? Yeah, you need to take that time for yourself. And it's just so, so important. And I find that now that I've given myself permission to take breaks, I perform much better in other areas of my life, especially working with people, because I have that new capacity to then give more of myself continuously.
Right.
Exactly. So I just want to make sure I said that.
No, and that's very important. That's a huge topic and a huge point that I'm glad you brought up, because I'm working with someone that the same thing. They're always giving. And they feel bad because they have a younger child. So they feel bad thinking that, oh, I don't know if I should go to the gym or go work out, because what if my kids need me? What if so-and-so needs me? It's just a lot of breaking that mindset to just let them know, hey, it's okay. It's only going to be a half an hour. I mean, it's okay. Everyone's going to be fine. It's just breaking through that mindset of, I can't, I'm always on. I'm always having to react to something. I'm always having to be giving of myself. But then, like you said, it gets to a point where you're just on empty, And then that's where a lot of issues start coming up. Then you're moody, you're just more in a negative mindset. You're exhausted. So you have to replenish that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of my clients who are mothers, they have a hard time in the beginning because they're very focused on their children and want to give of themselves to their children. And I commend mothers so much, because that takes a lot of heart, a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy. But you can't give everything to your child without hitting a breaking point, right? Like, it's okay to focus on yourself, because your children will benefit because of it, right? Because and you're teaching them good habits for themselves later in life, right? Because then they're going to understand, like, it's okay for me to take a step back and chill. Like,
exactly.
It's okay. Like, there's no reason to feel guilty about, like, watching 2 episodes of your favorite show on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is that calms you down and, like, replenishes your energy, like, then do it. Like, you got to do it on a daily basis. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, even if it's meditating for 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Like, intentionally taking time for yourself is so imperative.
It is. It really is. And I really hope that whoever's listening takes that to heart and take the small progressive steps. Don't just, if you've never done this in your entire life, you're obviously not going to be like, all right, I'm done. I'm disconnecting for an entire day, because you'll probably feel more anxious than anything. So take small steps. Like you said, do a little 5-minute thing every day, and then increase it to 10 minutes if you can, or break it up throughout the day. Just find what your specific balance is and take advantage of it and do it. Because trust me, you will be so much better off as an overall person when you start giving time to yourself, to kind of like, you're getting back in touch with yourself and you're listening to your body. So that's just important to do.
Oh, 100%. Like I said earlier, journaling, that's taking time for yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's a perfect way to start. It's 5 minutes journaling every day. That's it. Everybody listening, you're going to do it every single day. 5 minutes of journaling. Done.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have, 5 minutes, if you tell yourself you don't have 5 minutes for yourself, you're lying.
Yeah.
It's a straight out lie to yourself. Yeah. You have 5 minutes. If you have an hour to give to somebody else, you have 5 minutes for yourself.
There you go. And if you really feel like you don't, reach out to us. We'll help you find it.
Yeah, exactly. Reach out for some support.
Yeah, reach out to. Well, trust me, we'll find 5 minutes in your day where you need to really step back and look at your overall daily life and figure out where there's 5 minutes in there to just take that time for you specifically. And it's one of those other sayings that it's like, it's not that you don't have the time. It's just that you're telling yourself it's not that important.
Exactly.
So okay. So what message would you want to send out to anyone listening?
Oh gosh, what a loaded question.
I know.
The message I would want to convey to people is to know that you have the power to be happy. Mm-hmm. That power, you were born with it, and you will continue to have it for your entire life. Mm-hmm. No one else can dictate your happiness except for you. Mm-hmm. That's the message I would want to convey. If I had to convey, a really strong but very broad message that's applicable to everyone, that would definitely be it. It took me many years to understand that I am in control of my own happiness. If I could help just one person make that realization, then everything I had gone through would have been worth it.
Absolutely. That's a really good, just like you said, it's a very simple but very deep message. It really is. Well, I really think that your journey is a very inspiring one, and that's why I'm so glad we got to talk. So whoever's listening, thank you for listening. I really hope that you guys can benefit from this, and just, the top 3 coping mechanisms: always stay positive, never back down, visualize your end goal, whatever that may be, And also another thing is whatever you do, make sure that it's always geared towards your end goal, no matter what you do. And journal. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And I like that your life's mission is to help people find themselves. That says a lot about you as a person and as your character. So how can people reach you out on social media?
Yeah, sure. So the one thing I always like to convey to people is my my Facebook group that I have. It's a members only group. It's called Food Freedom Life Without Restriction. And it's a way to work with me on a bi-weekly basis and become part of a community of people that are looking to find themselves and find out that they are their own source of happiness. So you can look for me there. You can also check out my website, which is lifestylenutrition-llc.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is Jaclyn, Jaclyn _Ann, ANN _lifestyle. And that's where you'll see a lot of my videos and IGTVs and inspirational posts and things like that.
Excellent. And then we'll also have it on the description of the episode as well. That way people can, follow you and just really get to know the real Jaclyn Ann.
Awesome. Amazing.
So again, thank you so much for being on here on your Sunday, on your active rest day. I appreciate it.
No, that's fine. No, it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll keep in touch. And everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time to make this dream a reality as well. And always continue to live to progress.
Amazing. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Remember to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Live2Progress and on Twitter at Live2Progress. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fit Talk with Coach Luis coming soon. And remember, always live to progress.